Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majewski back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic Weather Studios with the Weather Report, the North Georgia edition, exclusively for you Facebook subscribers and YouTube members here on your February the 27th, 2026. It also happens to be Free Sampler Friday, so it's an opportunity for everybody to check out our daily weather report and for you to become a contributor as we work toward the goal of building a 24-hour weather channel. You can subscribe or become a member on Facebook and on YouTube. It's only $1.99 a month, and it really helps us grow the channel, so check it out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've seen. Boy, the models really busted this one. That's all you got to say. You just got to chalk it up. We got a lot more rain than what we were anticipating, which actually was a good thing. We definitely need it. We're going to make a nice dent, I promise you, on next week's report on the drought index, like I posted yesterday. So we saw a lot of widespread heavy rains out there. I'll show you that here in just a second. But a lot of the action here is moved on down here toward the south now. We're seeing things a little wet down here toward the south as we're looking at the heavier rains down in here, heading down toward Columbus, Macon, over toward Augusta. And that front will be sinking slowly to the south. So we'll see things improve slowly today. Now, what we're currently seeing out there is we do have some fog, like Sky Valley's got a lot of fog up there. Blairsville's looking pretty good. Dahlonega kind of cloudy. It's damp there in Helen. But we're going to get some building sunshine, I think, by later in the afternoon. So kind of a partly sunny, mostly sunny, depending on where you're at kind of day. Now, the weekend still looking pretty good. I'm going to break down those numbers for you here in just a second. Now, looking at all the watches and warnings, we're all clear out there for the moment, looking pretty decent. To see the fog over there toward the Mississippi River Valley and down toward Texas, South Florida, but no official fog advisories for us. But there is some patchy fog out there, so just be aware of that. Now, so go take a look at our radar. You see that everything down to the south is off to the down there where the heavier rains are. Nothing across our area. I do want to go ahead and highlight some of these rainfall totals out here. Boy, I mean, they're very, very impressive here. The storm totals here across the area, just very, very nice indeed. I'm going to go ahead and get my little highlighter here. Looks like Northern Fulton had the most here, over 4 inches. I saw 4.40 there. But a lot of this yellow and red you see in here is 2 to 4 inches. Like over near Rome, over near 4 inches there. Over here north of Cumming, 3.25 there. Gainesville, also close to 3 inches there. Northern Gwinnett, right near my house, almost 3 inches here. I had one of our subscribers reported just short of 3 inches there for today. So again, a very widespread path of some heavy rains, and we're going to get a chance to dry out for the weekend. That's the good news there. The thunderstorm threats shifting on to the south, no severe with that. The big surprise last night was we had a hailstorm and just came out of very isolated by itself, and it just dumped a nice hail path. I mean, accumulating hail looked like snow on the ground. If you haven't seen some of the pictures, check it out here on the Facebook side, and you can see some of the photos there. But it just a path. And what I think what it was you had a little cold pocket. We had enough instability that it just fired that storm, and it just took off by itself. It's one of those small mesoscale things you just sometimes the models miss, and boy, it sure missed this one, that's for sure, because once those thunderstorms in Alabama began to congeal, it just turned into one big massive rain event as it moved across North Georgia overnight. Now let's go take a look at our latest forecast models. Hopefully they'll behave a little bit better than what we just had to deal with here. So let's go look at the NAM here as we take a look at the next 84 hours here on our map. As you're going to see things looking pretty good. We're going to clear the precipitation out of here. Again, maybe some lingering clouds today, but Saturday's looking great, okay? We're going to looking pretty good. Sunday probably looking even better as the temperatures are going to be even milder going into your Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday's not looking bad. But early next week, going into Monday and Tuesday, we are going to see a building wedge in here. So what that's going to mean is, depending on the timing of this thing, we're going to see this cooler air coming in here across northeast Georgia, and that's going to briefly cool us down, especially on Tuesday. It will be a quick hit and run. We're going to shoot right back up here going into Wednesday and Thursday. I'll show you my 7-day here in a second to illustrate that point. So the heavier rains now are moving off here into the Carolinas, into East Georgia from the rains this morning. We're pretty much done here across North Georgia here. As we're not looking at any significant rains. Really, the next 7 days are kind of quiet, and there's a reason for that. I'll point that out here on the models here in a second. Now, today, temperatures are going to be in the 60s. Again, maybe a few 70s there for the western zones here for today. Overnight lows going in toward tomorrow morning, not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, 7 o'clock in the morning, we're at 40s and some 50s. That's definitely above normal for the last day of February. And then as we go into your Saturday, it's going to be a great looking afternoon. Not bad. We got 60s out here. I think this is a little underdone, but I think upper 60s, mid 60s up for North Georgia, upper 60s in here. And then going into Sunday, I think a widespread 70s for everybody here across the area. Now let's go take a look at the jet stream. The jet stream is that river air that kind of moves our storm systems. A couple things I want to point out here on this. Now, we're going to be seeing these storm systems kicking out of the west. The position of the jet stream is not really in a best position for really bad severe weather. We have what you call, positive and negative tilt of the jet stream. When it's in a negative, when it's tilting backwards, you can get a lot of widespread severe. When it's in a positive, it really kind of diminishes it a little bit. But I'm going to show you that here in a second what I'm talking about. So here's our little system kind of moving through the southeast. This is our one that's kind of exiting through us. There's a little dip right here. But you notice the main jet energy is way up here toward the north. So as we go ahead and go through this, what we're going to see is, again, it's not going to show up on the jet stream, but going into Monday, we're going to have basically going to have a high pressure that's going to be anchored up in here, and that's what's going to bring us that brief cooler air down here coming into across the Carolinas into our area for Monday and into Tuesday. But that's going to be a quick hit and run. You notice that the main jet stream's well off toward the north, but we're going to have these little systems that are going to be ejecting out of the west. Here's this big trough here. Look at this one here. So this will be our first one here, going in toward Friday. Now, this one will have to be watched because I think this one will kick in enough into the southeast where we could see some thunderstorms with this. Now, watch what happens with this here as we go forward. This is going to kick in, and it gets into this. So see this little tilt back this way? This is a little negative tilt here of the jet stream. This could provide some active severe weather here going into next Sunday here across the Central Plains, and I think it's going to move in across the southeast. It will probably be not quite as bad as it will be out in that position, at least looking at this current jet configuration. Again, this is still 222 hours out, but this could drag a cold front with some thunderstorms across the southeast going into Sunday. And then we got another system. You see this one. Again, it's tilting backward, all right? This is a positive tilt jet, so anything that ejects out, you're not going to get the spin. The reason why we say when it's in a negative position, you get better wind shear in the atmosphere. So you get thunderstorms that can become tornadic when it's like that. When it's in a positive, it's kind of fighting it a little bit. So that's why this next one coming out here, this one swinging out into Texas here, going in to the 12th, that may bring in some severe weather as well, but maybe not quite as bad. But it does flatten out a little bit here. All right. Now, the other thing that's going to be protecting us a little bit here is that we're going to have this constant ridging of high pressure here. All right. So we're looking at the 500 millibar anomaly map here as we're kind of looking at this. Whenever you see the oranges and reds, that's high pressure. And then we look for those little weaknesses that are going to kind of kick on out, then the blues and the greens. Okay. So here's that first one. You see this one bowling ball out here toward the west, and this thing comes on out and it bumps into this. That's where you get your thunderstorms that kind of fire up in there. They play bumper cars here. This kicks on out, swings to the north. And then here's another one back behind it. But look at the big ridging here. Look at how warm it is here in the eastern half of the United States. So this will kind of, again, it's in a wrong negative position. It swings on out, but it weakens. See how it just pulls out of Mexico and comes into Texas. It kind of weakens out as it moves northward. Look at the ridging here of high pressure here across the southeast. So it's going to protect us to some degree and kind of limit our rain chances a little bit. But as far as active severe weather for the southeast, at least going into March, I only see one potential, and that's going to be going into the 7th and 8th of March, the way it's tracking right now. And even that is not, knock my socks off unless something changes before we get there. All right. So here we go with this. We go forward here on your Monday. Again, we're going to watch that wedge build on in here. You see these lines of equal pressure here. That's that wedge building in here from these. So it'll be a brief cool down here on Monday and Tuesday. This is going to quickly move on out, though, very fast. And then going to next week, not looking bad. Not looking at any really major rain chances here for most of next week. The only time that we see something significant is when we go in toward here comes the cold front right here. Boom. This is the front. This is the storm. These are thunderstorms in here along this boundary here. Notice it's 8 o'clock on your Sunday, and this is coming in during prime heating. So that's why I'll be watching this date specifically for potential severe weather. Again, it's still 7, 8, or 8, 9 days out. So we got a while to watch this, but it's been there for the last couple of runs. We'll see if it maintains that continuity or not. But that's the only risk I see as far as active severe weather. Then it looks like the pattern gets kind of wet here for a little while. We see a lot of rain opportunities, a lot of green here coming across North Georgia. Beyond that, and here's another front coming in here on the 13th. So again, that's the only opportunity for severe weather I'm seeing right now is into next weekend. We'll have to watch. All right. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at our temperatures here, look at it Sunday. Woo! Mid 70s, going to feel pretty good there on Sunday. Very nice day indeed. And then we're going to watch that wedge come in here as we go in toward your Monday and Tuesday. Still tracking that. So your Monday afternoon highs, yep, see, there's our wedge. Showing up there very nicely there on your Monday afternoon. And then that'll kind of linger into Tuesday a little bit. That's going to linger into Tuesday. So it's kind of cool there. Here's Tuesday. Yep, still holding on to that wedge just a little bit into Tuesday. Still looking there. And then as we go into Wednesday, it should begin to clear on out. There's Wednesday. Yeah, we're back in the 70s on Wednesday. So again, we got to deal with that for a couple days, and then we'll be warm after that. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at your climate outlook here as we kind of wrap this report up here. Again, looking at above normal temperatures continuing. I mean, real big time. Look at that big dark red. That's about as bullseye as you can get here across the southeast. Again, with very warm weather here across areas. We get ready to start the month of March. And this covers the period from the 4th through the 8th, and that kind of continues right along the east. Again, remember we saw that big ridging there on the European model there across the east, the big red there. So the whole east is going to be very warm. And then the precipitation chances, this does look like it comes up a little bit. Looks like as we get past the day 7 of next week, it does look wetter, which is good. We need that to help beat back the drought. We're going to make a nice dent on the rains we got overnight on the drought conditions here across our area. And then as we look at it stays on the wet side. And when it stays this wet and we know things are warming up, that's why we got to watch for any potential severe weather events opportunities to present themselves, because the warmer it gets, the easier it is to get that. It's one of those parameters. The other parameters, of course, is jet stream energy and wind shear and all the little things we look for potential severe weather. Hopefully we'll have our weather app ready to go here soon enough. I hopefully should get a tester on that I think next week. And then we got to work out some bugs, and then hopefully we'll be able to get that out to you guys as soon as we can. So, again, appreciate you guys checking this out. Again, if you are interested in joining our weather family as a contributor, again, this is not my channel. This is your channel. If you want to be part of the family and help us build this channel, but believe me, the YouTube memberships and the Facebook subscribers, those little couple dollars, if we get enough people, do add up and do help, because you're going to have good months, you're going to have active months, and those months really help, especially when we're trying to cover data fees for weather services and stuff. And once we get our weather computer up, boy, that's going to be a big upgrade. You guys are going to notice some nice things there with that as well. So again, appreciate you guys checking us out. You guys have a great and safe day, a great weekend. We'll see you next week, and you guys take care. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.